In February, I shared my measurements on the temperature stability of the stock version of this Gaggia E24 with thermostats, and I was amazed by its performance, with variations between 1.5 to 3.7 Celsius degrees, the initial and final temperature that I was measuring in the puck. At that time, I believed that it was due to the new brass boiler with 25% higher volume, but also a new thermostat. I was consistently seeing the thermostat switching off at 104 degrees that I was seeing in the PID. I was using the PID as a thermometer in those tests. But 2 weeks ago, a user, George, he asked me the specs of this thermostat because he saw in the Gaggia parts diagram the same 107 degrees thermostat that was used in the previous versions. And now that I disassembled my machine to install the Gaduino Gen 3, I can confirm that he's correct. It's the same thermostat. And then, what explains the better performance of the E24? Is it only the new boiler? And why the thermostat was switching off at 104 degrees very consistently? We know that brass retains more heat, but it takes longer to transfer the power delivered by the heating element to the water. It's about 50% slower than aluminum. However, with 25% more volume, would the final temperature be higher or lower than aluminum? I made some calculations and confirmed with some help from Manus that this 25% more volume will compensate the lower conductivity of brass. In a very simplified calculation, I assumed that the water was at 100 Celsius degrees in both boilers, one of them, an aluminum boiler with 108 mils and 526 grams, the second, the brass boiler, with 136 mils in volume and 1.3 kilos. In each of the boilers, I would add 60 mils of water at 25 Celsius degrees, replacing 60 mils of water that was at 100 degrees. And in both boilers, I would have a heating element delivering 1300 watts for 15 seconds. With this scenario, I asked Manus to calculate the final temperature in both boilers, and the difference was 5.7 degrees hotter in the brass boiler than in the aluminum. And why I observed the thermostat consistently switching off at 104 degrees? My best guess is that it's due to the different positions of the thermostat and the thermocouple. The thermostat is located in the lateral of the boiler where the heating element is located. And the thermocouple, the sensor that the PID is using to read the temperature in the boiler, I installed on the top, replacing the steam thermostat. Then when the heating element was activated, it was hitting first the lateral and later the top. So when we read 104 degrees on the top, the temperature was higher in the lateral. That's why probably the brute thermostat was switching off at 107 degrees that it had already achieved, and when it switched off, we were reading 104 on the top. There may be small differences in precision, 1.5 Celsius degrees, but I believe that the main responsible is the position, especially considering that brass has lower conductivity. All this doesn't change the fact that the E24 has a much better temperature stability, but I was wrong about the thermostat, and I needed to come here to rectify the information and apologize if I led you to wrong conclusions. My apologies also to my friend Thales, who used this information in some of his videos, and thanks George for flagging. It's great to have such a qualified audience and to learn from all of you. And now you know that the next videos are going to be about the Gaduino Gen 3. We'll start with the upgrade from Gen 2 to Gen 3, then the full installation of Gaduino Gen 3 in a Gaggia E24, very similar to the Gaggia Classic Pro internally. And after that, we'll finally install the Gaduino Gen 3 in a Rentilio Silvia. If you're interested in those videos, don't forget to subscribe and click on the bell icon to receive all the notifications. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.